Good afternoon and welcome back to Hot Jobs with both me, Lucy Robinson, and Amber Pitkin. We are here with Hire Military and we have got so many incredible opportunities for transitioning service members, military spouses, and veterans across the nation to share with you today. First and foremost, we want to say thank you to our sponsors. You saw them in the opening credits just now, and we will be discussing and talking through some of the opportunities that they have for our community. As we are kicking off today, please don't forget to check the links in the description where you will find lots of helpful resources and our upcoming events. So before we get started, we really want to hear from you. We've got lots of conversation that we are going to have in front of you today. And as we are talking, if you have questions, we would love to hear your questions because ultimately we deliver this to support you. So if we can give you further information, if we can answer anything that you are looking to understand a little better, please do throw those comments in the chat. But let us know where you're calling in from, where you are watching from. Are you a transitioning service member? Are you a veteran? Are you a spouse? Ultimately, what are you looking for today? A permanent position? Just hearing what we're up to? You wanted to see our faces and say hi? Or are you interested in the SKILLBRIDGE or CSP internship opportunity and you'd like to know a little more? Oh, Mike Quinn's in the chat today telling us he's an Eagles fan. Great. Thank you for that. Yeah, fly, Eagles, fly. You know, I don't even know what that means. So, Amber, how are you?
I am great. How are you, Lucy?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. I think it's been a week. My kids have gone back to school. So alternating between enjoying the calm and waiting for that second day back. And it's brand new schools for them. We're in a new area. So, you know, that nervousness of being a military family and the change once again. What's going on with you?
Oh, similar. We start school next week. So the kids are all nervous. They're all starting new schools as well. So it'll be a trying couple of weeks, I'm sure, but they're going to love it. So.
It will be. One day, our children will never have to have a first brand new day ever again. But until that point, we sit here with bated breath. So we had a conversation that we wanted to have today with everybody here. Why don't you kick it off and tell us what it's all about?
So first, before I start, I want to ask a question because I definitely want to see your answers in the chat. My question is, have you ever applied to a role where you were missing 1, 2, maybe 3 or more qualifications that were listed? And if so, why did you apply? Just curious. I would love to see your answers just because like we were just talking about this and trying to really wrap our head around kind of the thought process behind it. And I was sharing with Lucy, obviously I just transitioned last year and early on in my SKILLBRIDGE search, I admit it. I applied to jobs that I didn't necessarily meet all of the qualifications, but you know, I was under the same mindset of I'm a quick learner. I am determined. There is nothing I can't do, which is a great mentality to have. Don't get me wrong. But when it comes to on this side now that I've learned as a recruiter, when you're sitting with your clients and you're trying to meet their needs, what they're looking for in a candidate, we truly do have to keep that in mind. And that's where it kind of puts us between a rock and a hard place when it comes to people applying who maybe don't have the qualifications. And I see somebody did say like, you know, you miss all the shots that you don't take. And I agree, right? So one of the other questions that we wanted to ask was, if you apply to a job that you don't necessarily qualify completely for, do you expect a response? Or are you okay with knowing that you may not get a response because they probably used an ATS or Reddit and said, you know, they don't meet all the qualifications? And I ask because you have to remember, depending on the job, some of these jobs get thousands of applicants. Nowadays, like you'll see where they cut it off at a certain amount, which is really to save the recruiters or whoever from having to dig through all of them. But think about it. If they limit it to 200 applicants and you're one of the 200 and you don't meet the same qualifications, let's say there's 5 and there's, 10 people who do, realistically, do you think that they're going to choose yours to interview, or are they going to choose the 10 who meet all 5 qualifications? Just putting it out there. What do you think, Lucy?
It's a tricky one for me because I'm seeing everybody's comments, and my supportive heart, my helpful heart wants to say, yeah, you're absolutely right. My head down, I've got so many jobs to recruit for. I don't know if I've got time to go to the bathroom, let alone breathe. Heart and brain is like, oh my gosh, let's share from our perspective how it works for us. So I think somebody said further up, and these comments are coming through fairly quickly, so I've missed it. If there's one or two qualification criteria that I don't meet, but I meet everything else. So I would say that's an 80% hit rather than a 60 or 70% hit that they would apply. And I would hugely welcome that. And the reason being, when we work as recruiters, our priority, as much as I hate to say it, because we love our candidates and we love the veteran MilSPAS community, that's why we're here. But we are ultimately working as recruiters for the company. They have trusted us to identify probably 3 to 5 really great candidates that they wouldn't be able to qualify themselves. So they use our time to do that. They may have a small HR department. They may not have an HR department. They may want to recruit from our demographic. There are many reasons why they use us. And most recently, I was recruiting for a business development role, specifically in the federal space. And our client said to me, I trust you. Personality is absolutely key for this role. So if somebody is missing 1 or 2 qualification criteria, but you think that they're really hungry for it and they've got the experience, I want to see them. So that makes it really, that's a fun role for me, because it means that you can go through, you can look at all of the candidates, you can get a feel on paper. But I have learned through being in recruitment for 20, 25 years, you've got no idea who's on the other end of that piece of paper. So that's why we screen. That's why we meet with candidates, because we may see a really terrible resume, but the actual applicant themselves is absolutely freaking phenomenal. They just don't know how to communicate their experience on paper. So it's a really tricky one. Other times, and the majority of the time, Amber, isn't it? They have got that list of qualifying criteria and they want all 5 of those. And so if we submitted a candidate with 3 and not 5, they would look at us like we had 2 heads and say, hey, I've engaged you to do this. You're not committing or keeping to the contract, keeping to your side of the bargain. So, it's great in a way. And that is why we have a really wonderful role to be able to take your 2D application and make it 3D for our clients. We can bring you to life. We can share who you are and why you've applied. But it is a hard one and the context of this conversation was we were going through both of our inboxes on LinkedIn are full of people saying, hey, I don't have this experience, but I'm a really quick learner. And it's like, I want to help you, but
I'm going to share I'm going to share my analogy, Lucy, because I know Olivia really wants me to share it. And I literally just thought of this, but it's really great. And it's not to deter anybody at all. Please keep applying. I would never, I said, I was one of the, I would probably as well. But just keep it in mind when you're managing your expectations. That's really why we started the conversation, because we don't want anybody to go into the process and just be extremely disappointed upfront and all the time. Know that you're applying for a role that maybe you don't meet the qualifications and there just was somebody better that did, just because for virtue of the required qualifications. And so my analogy was, let's say I went to the store and I'm looking at this awesome watch that I want, this Apple iWatch that I just, oh my gosh, I love it so much. I know I'm going to take care of it. I know I'm going to have great use for it. All these things that I can say why this watch is perfect for me. But it's $199 and I only have $160. Would I go to the manager of the store and ask them to sell me the watch for $160 because I'm amazing? I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to give it a new home. I'm going to, if they wanted me to work it off by, taking out trash, I could totally do that. I wouldn't do that. What I would do though, I say that watch is really great. Let me look at all the things that the watch has, and let me see if there's another watch similar to it that is in my price range. I'm telling you, I feel like it's very much the same. And it doesn't mean that someday I can't afford that $199 watch. It just means in the meantime, till I get there, I can find something that is close to that realm. And so that was my analogy. it might not be that great.
No, I like it. And it really hurts our hearts. And we are sharing this not to be difficult, not to give you a perspective that doesn't agree with your standpoint or how you feel. And seeing all of these comments here, we really want to help everybody, which is why we are here, not because we are trying to be mean about this or share perspectives that don't fit or don't support you, because ultimately we are here to support. But it's a tricky time out there right now. And our hiring managers that we are working with are looking for really great candidates. And actually, somebody put earlier, they asked about being overqualified for roles. And I always find that really interesting. Somebody said to me years ago, and I don't necessarily agree with this, but let's throw it out there. There's no such thing as overqualification. You either meet the criteria or you don't. You might meet the criteria and have a lot more, but you meet the criteria. And I think from my perspective, if you meet the criteria, your resume is your own personal document. You can share as much or as little information in that document as it takes to get you to, the door being opened, either the first screen or an interview. So I would consider that. There's no, we would never, ever encourage any falsehoods on a resume, but you can remove information off of an interview if you wanted to put yourself in a different light for a role. And that is my personal perspective. And I have seen that work. So as an example, if the role required a bachelor's and it was more of an entry to mid-level role and you've got an MBA and you think that overqualifies you, you don't necessarily need to share that you have an MBA. But it is a wild market out there, Krista, right now. You're right. And it is a tricky time. So we just, if you have further questions as we are going along, we will endeavor to answer them towards the end of this live. But great chat, Amber. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
So what do we have? We have quite a few positions, but let's talk first of all about a great organization that we have a corporate partnership with. GBC Food Services is a national food service company that runs kiosks all around the country in your local grocery stores. So think, if you walk in, you see that Boar's Head Deli, you see that cut produce, you see the sushi counter. More often than not, they're actually franchise opportunities that are not owned by the store itself. We are looking for those who have an entrepreneurial mindset when it comes to either SKILLBRIDGE. If you fancy running your own business or learning how to run your own business for a SKILLBRIDGE internship, or even if you want to run your own business and this could be an opportunity for you, they definitely want to hear from our community right now. So if that sounds like, I'd like to know a little bit more about that, please do put a comment in the chat and we will get back to you a little bit later. When it comes to the permanent positions that I am recruiting for on behalf of our clients, I have one client at the moment that specifically is looking for those, most likely, being candid, of an Air Force background, because all three positions support the PACAF mission. If you are US Air Force, you'll be very familiar with PACAF, especially if you've been stationed in Japan, Guam, Hawaii, Alaska. And in fact, 3 of the roles are in Hawaii, Guam, and Alaska. So let me share a little more. First of all, we have a range engineer position. All of these are in the 6-figure salary range, and we share all of these salaries as well. So range engineer, Eielson Air Force Base in Fairbanks, Alaska. Somewhere I know very well. I have just moved from there. So this candidate shall provide network and system engineering expertise supporting the Joint Alaska-Pacific Range Complex and the Red Flag Alaska program. You really need a bachelor's degree in either electronics or network engineering or something closely related to that. They're not married to those specifics. And about 3 years minimum of experience. So if you want to hear more about that, type range engineer into the comments. If you fancy spending a couple of years in that Arctic winter where -50 is just the tip of the iceberg, we can share the URL to that role a little bit later. We share all of our URLs after the event because LinkedIn likes to delete them as we are talking. Equally, don't just put I'm interested, because that's tricky for us as we come back. If you give us the actual job title itself, we then can share the direct link. The second role, again, for somebody ideally with an Air Force background, is as a program manager at Andersen Air Force Base in Guam. So if you fancy a couple of years on island in Guam, we're recruiting a PM with broad leadership experience in a range training environment. So you sense the theme here. Project customer personnel management is required, as is a semblance of business development experience and business analytics. Our client is a GovCon, and they are based there at Anderson Air Force Base in Guam. You really need to have about 5 years of government contracting experience in either a project or a program management capacity. Be familiar with US Air Force aviation culture, and have experience of the deliverables when it comes to PM. So cost performance indicators, schedule performance index, KPIs, those sorts of things. So if you have that kind of experience and you're interested in hearing more, you ideally wouldn't mind moving to Guam. Well, not ideally, you would need to move to Guam. Please do connect with me. Drop a link below and we can share that information with you. And finally, from me, the last role I have is a PACAF staff SME contractor. This one's actually at PACAF HQ, which, if you're familiar, you will know is Hickam Air Force Base on Hawaii. And this one really is to support the research development proposals and contracts for training range modernization. Ideally, you will have a background in combat air forces, and you will be familiar with test and training range roadmaps and mission support plans. You'll need to have a knowledge and understanding of tactical and electronic ranges and infrastructure, and ideally have officer experience within the Air Force. So if that sounds like it could be of interest to you and you wouldn't mind relocating to Hawaii for a couple of years, drop a comment below. I've got a couple of other opportunities that I'd like to share with you on behalf of 2 of our corporate sponsors. One of them is Horizon Strategies. They have 2 roles nationally right now. So if you are interested, or your spouse or a dependent is interested, we have VA TAP benefits advisor roles, both on Fort Carson, Colorado, and Fort Riley, Kansas. So I actually think, it's Fort Carson, Colorado, Peterson Space Force Base rather, and Fort Riley, Kansas. So if those sound of interest, please do connect. Equally and finally, if law enforcement or firefighting has been in your past, or you have considered it in your future, we are working with National Testing Network, and they support the recruitment across the whole of the country for all of the police departments and firefighting departments, emergency services. So we have an open opportunity on our website. Our website actually is highermilitary.us, where you will see all of our vacancies and SKILLBRIDGE internships. And if you connect with us there, you share your location and say, where you want to hear more about. It could be Tampa, Florida. It could be Davenport, Idaho, Iowa even. Sorry, let me get that right. We will share that with you and we will connect you to them. So finally, I have monologued enough. I have given a sufficient information today. I definitely need to take a breather here. But head over to highermilitary.us to see all of our permanent vacancies, as well as our SKILLBRIDGE internships, because what we share today is purely just a wave top. It's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what we have to offer and the roles that we are recruiting for heavily right now. Amber, I'm handing over to you.
Perfect. All right, everyone. So I'm going to talk about our SKILLBRIDGE internships, also known as Career Skills Program if you are Army. The SKILLBRIDGE CSP program only applies to service members who are within 180 days of separation. Essentially, the program is there to help kind of be a bridge between, while still on service, conducting an internship in hopes of securing a full-time role at the end. So unfortunately, we do get a lot of questions about veterans and spouses, and there are other programs out there for them, just not particularly what we consider SKILLBRIDGE. So if you have a question about SKILLBRIDGE, if you are eligible to participate, I highly recommend, 1, you talk to your command team, and 2, your transition counselor, whether that's in the Army transition specialist or in the Air Force, they use the education office, or one of the other transition offices that the other branches use. So definitely have the conversation early and often to see if you do qualify, and or if your command will even let you participate. So those are very key questions that you want to start asking early enough before you actually start interviewing and applying. So again, these are for SKILLBRIDGE. And if you have any questions, like Lucy said, this is just a snippet. I only have a handful to chat about, but they're all listed on our website. So the first one is a project manager assistant with Light Shift Energy. And this is in Arlington, Virginia. So in this role, you will be responsible for supporting Light Shift engineering and construction team in its efforts to design, build, and operationalize energy storage projects. You will work with the team and project partners to ensure that the projects are designed, built, and tested to the cost, schedule, and performance requirements of Light Shift. The role is the ideal growth role for somebody who is an ambitious self-starter looking to help fuel kind of the growth of an innovative company like Light Shift. So a tech degree and career field is preferred for this. So if you come from a technical background, or you came from a technical career field within the military or a degree, this is definitely an opportunity you should check out. And Lucy, did I miss anything on that one? I just want to make sure. Okay, perfect.
No, yeah, I was on mute, but no, if you've got that interest, if you have that background, this is one that we definitely can communicate interest, quick to learn, and we would love to be able to share more details with you about that.
Perfect. See, and there are those jobs out there. I love those ones that are really looking for the right fit. So definitely put a message in the comments if you're interested, Light Shift, and we will send you the link afterwards. So the next role I have is with one of our longtime partners, Texas Instruments. We have been working with them for quite some time now, and they have recently given us their cohort dates for 2025. We're really excited about it. They are looking for equipment technicians. So they are looking for people who have an electrical or a mechanical background, 3 to 8 years, and who will perform preventative maintenance, equipment repairs, equipment improvements, upgrades, and installation. If you don't know, Texas Instruments does the microprocessors. So it's a really awesome industry to get into. They're right there in Dallas, Texas. They actually just opened a new plant in Leahy, Utah as well, which is extremely beautiful if you've never been to Utah. So they are looking to bring on a lot of equipment techs this next year. And their 2025 dates are 13 January, 7 April, 9 June, and 8 September. And we are still recruiting for some open positions that they have to fill this year. I know it's already the end of July, but if you are really close to your window starting and you haven't found anything and this sounds interesting, and you have that background, definitely send me a message, and we can have a chat and try to facilitate that for you. The next role that I have, I'm really excited. So we work with Job Air Group, and I saw a comment in the chats from someone who said that they were looking for aircraft maintenance positions, but that they require an A&P. So our client actually does not require an A&P, only for certain locations, but they have locations nationwide. For the SKILLBRIDGE side of the role, so they're looking for at least 3 years experience in military or commercial aviation. Or if you have an A&P, that's fantastic as well, obviously. So if you have an avionics background, an aircraft maintenance background, you've touched a plane in any way, definitely just reach out. I would love to chat with you. They are open to direct hire as well. That is a conversation that we can facilitate. So even if you, for this one in particular, if you don't qualify for SKILLBRIDGE, still send me a message because I would like to chat with you about what kind of area you're looking for in your background. So that's avionics aircraft maintenance with Job Air Group. The next position that I have is an AWS architect role. So this is a remote SKILLBRIDGE training position. So this is a 12-week training program that will train you on A+, Sec+, and Net+. And once the 12-week training, SKILLBRIDGE training portion is complete, you will move into a 12-week paid training program. Upon that, during that 12-week paid training program, you will learn 2 different AWS programs and get those certifications. I want to say it's architect and associate. So once those are done, then they will place you on contract with one of their clients for 2 years, either in the San Antonio or DC metro area. So this program has 3 parts to it, right? You have your 12-week SKILLBRIDGE, your 12-week paid training, and then you roll right into 2 years contract with a GovCon or one of their other clients that they work with in San Antonio and the DC metro. Now, here's the key requirements. You must have a top secret clearance in hand. They can't sponsor it for you. It does have to be current. It has to be current through the point in which you would start your paid training, so that they can pull you into their system. And you do have to be willing to relocate to the DC metro or San Antonio area, because the 2-year contract role is in person. Even though the 12-week SKILLBRIDGE and the 12-week paid training is remote, the on-site, the full-time contract role is on-site in one of those areas. Trying to make sure I didn't forget anything else with that one. If you don't have to have an IT background, we will definitely share with you what the program is about, kind of how it sets you up for success. If you are interested in that, just put AWS Solutions Architect in the chat and I will share the link with you. Our cohort start dates are September 23rd and November 18th. So if you are within that time frame, that sounds like something that sounds interesting, definitely send us a message and we will set up a chat with you. And then finally, my last role that I have is a technical success engineer role. This role is also remote. Ideally, they are looking for someone in the Florida or DC metro area, and that's for meeting with the team like once a month to do projects. However, the location is negotiable. I will say that. And I didn't change it on my script. So if you are in another location, you can always message me and ask me what other locations they're open to. So it's really, they're trying to get you close to one of their hubs. The company is Splunk. So if you have heard of them, you know that they were just merged with Cisco. So a lot of things are changing, but this role is fantastic. It's remote. You must have a TS clearance though. That's the one really big one for this role. They want someone who has experience in technical support, professional services, admin, or related experience, somebody who's built relationships with customers and handled accounts. Additionally, if you have project management, IT experience, or infrastructure technician experience, those are all really great too. A knowledge of Splunk products is ideal, but not necessarily required. So that one's also listed on our website. If you are interested in that one, type in the chat Splunk or technical success engineer, and I will reach out to you and share the link with you and we'll have a chat. So, and if you didn't see anything or I didn't say anything that sparked your interest, you can go to hiremilitary.us and like Lucy said, find all of our SKILLBRIDGE internships listed there, and they're constantly changing. So definitely join our talent pool. Back to you, Lucy.
There have been so many comments. So I think that as we're coming up at the half-hour mark and we do finish at 2:30 Eastern time, the one I did just want to acknowledge, Nathan asked, are your SKILLBRIDGE cohorts strictly 12 weeks? We work very differently to other organizations. So we don't normally have a cohort model. Most of our SKILLBRIDGE internships or CSP internships run based on your timescales. It's just that specific AWS one that is a 12-week one. So I hope that helps, and I hope that sheds a little light. Just finally, as we close out today, please do go to our website, hiremilitary.us, because there are so many other phenomenal opportunities for veterans and transitioning service members, military spouses alike. 2 more that I would love to draw your attention to. If you are looking for a role overseas again, if you're looking to maybe go back downrange, we work with Acuity International. They have multiple OCONUS roles. And when I say downrange, I really do mean downrange, in Iraq and Somalia. So if that sounds like it could be of interest, they have got firearms instructor roles, simulator operator roles, and technicians. So they have got lots of different things on our website that we would love to share with you. Finally, we talked about entrepreneurial opportunities earlier, but we have worked now for a year with an organization called Veteran Service Brands. That organization, that company, is run by a firm favorite of ours. The CEO is Jack Child, and he is a prior Air Force pilot. And he created a foundation of 4 companies solely for veterans. They are, so the portfolio does include, and they are G-Force parking lot striping, Field Ops athletic field marking, Mach 1 epoxy flooring, and Paint Core, which is residential and commercial painting. Now they have just got to just under their 80th franchise holder nationwide, and they really do want to get over the 100 mark in the next year to 18 months. Such an amazing company. I love everybody that we come into contact with, and I've come into contact with a lot of people there because they did invite us to their annual conference in January. So if any of those sound like they could be of interest, they really are great opportunities. It's a home away from home in terms of the support, the attitude, everybody around you, the training that you need. It's a turnkey opportunity. I would love to share more information, with you about that. But we have gone over. Amber, thank you so much. I always appreciate your time and your smile and your energy. Everybody who's joined us today, it's so nice to see more comments in the chat. The algorithms on LinkedIn have been such recently that it's bounced down a little. So great to see you. We will be back to answer any of the questions that we have left behind. Everything's on hiremilitary.us, and we shall see you next week. Eric, yes, there is small business assistance from them, or do you mean from us? If you put your extra question in the chat, we'll follow up. See you later. Thank you. Take care.